right. So you also put Honkai.
Yeah, I mean, I would be lying to myself if we talked about the games that
the resident gacha gamer
defined our years. I needed to put a gacha game on. I mean, I played so much Honkai Star Rail this year. Like, obviously, I was sponsored to play it, but also I played it a lot in my free time as well. And I kind of just feel like this was Hoya versus like everything that they've been building up to kind of coming together into a product that is tapping a market that I don't think has been tapped in the gaming industry so far.
I hope we have a Honkai ad in this episode.
It'll be great.
We won't.
God damn it.
I mean, of course, we all love to clown on gacha gamers, rightly so, especially fucking Hoyoverse gacha gamers. But I do feel like their success comes down to them tapping into a market of gamers that I am.
Yeah,
you know,
for
and
sure.
It's the casual gamers.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, in terms of mobile games, I think they're definitely making like the most complete products.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But, yeah, I mean, people just clown on gacha in general, right? But,
Yeah, because I mean, you already talked about. We already had this conversation with Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Where we see this hyped up new game coming out, and we want to play it, but we do not have the time or the commitment to dive into this world right now. And part of the reason I, genuinely respect Hoyoverse for what they're doing is they are making a product that you can put as much time into it as you feel like putting into it.
Yeah.
But it also, with Honkai Star Rail, it's the first time I got a payoff that I would normally experience with a so-called AAA game.
Right.
And it was just, it hit me out of left field so much that it was probably one of the gaming moments that stuck out to me just because I was not expecting it.
I mean, in a lot of ways, Honkai is almost a AAA game if you think about it, because like
it definitely is.
It definitely
for
is.
sure, right?
But it
like,
still
I think
has-
people still don't recognize it, or maybe they do, but like at least the
I think there's this part of gaming which I think is very fair, where they're like, we don't want to reward games that require money,
right.
which I think is fair. I think a lot of gamers they don't respect games that maybe I know you can do free to play and all that stuff,
Yeah.
but a lot of gamers don't respect games that are like, hey, money please, we can help you.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's valid. I think we as an industry probably shouldn't reward games that do that, right? You're like, we want more of the Trails in the Sky, which presumably has no.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. You want to reward games that, hey, this is a complete game, give it to
Right.
me. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I think people prefer that, and that's almost why people don't want to talk about Honkai or Genshin as these AAA games. They want to keep them in the mobile game category. So like, we don't want you to mess with our pure gaming,
Yeah.
which has
Yeah.
already been fucked up a bunch by microtransactions.
Yeah.
But I understand why a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah, at the same time, I would love more products like this. If we keep this in, let's say, the mobile market where people aren't a fan of like the gacha system, whatever, my big appeal towards Honkai and Genshin and other games like that is the respect of my time. Is that I can put as much time as I want to put into it. Maybe, sometimes I want to just log on and just game for
It's
like
the pick up and play.
Yeah, it's
nature,
the pick
right?
up and play. And one thing that they really cornered that didn't really exist before was how easy it is to pick up and play whatever console, whatever place you want to do it in. So like you want to play it on PC, great. You want to play it on mobile, you can do that. It might not be the same gaming experience, but you can do it,
Yeah.
and it just makes it so much more accessible to me. And accessibility is such a big reason why they have blown up so much, in my opinion, even though they get clowned on by a lot of people.
Yeah, one thing I don't respect about the games in general is the whole having to do daily quests, grinding all the time, doing all the stuff. But I know it's how they keep you invested.
Yeah.
It's how they keep you in the game. So when they release DLC, you care about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I'm just not looking for a gaming experience that requires me to grind.
Yeah.
Which is to me, that's like the biggest slap in it. Like, you can take my money, but don't fucking take my time and shit all over me.
All right. This might be a hot take. All right.
What
This
the fuck are you
definitely
gonna
is a
say?
hot take. Okay. It was after playing Honkai Star Rail
Don't say what I think you're about to say.
that I genuinely was like, I would like more auto battlers
Oh fuck no!
enabled in other JRPGs.
Oh my god!
And okay. Here's what I realized, because there are the two RPGs that are on here right now:
Yeah.
Trails and Honkai Star Rail,
Yeah.
right? And the Trails series, I'm sure you experienced this with Final Fantasy as well. There are certain segments where I am doing fucking nothing except going through the world and tapping A or tapping attack.
What? Yeah, I mean, but like this is an RPG and JRPG problem specifically, where they have not figured out how to keep you on your toes without like random encounters or battles that do it. But a lot of the times you can just mash through it. But I feel like that's kind of going away a little bit now. Like nowadays you can choose who you fight. So you can just walk through the field without having to bump into any of the enemies you don't want to fight, right? Like there's a lot of these new aspects where they've learned that, hey, maybe throwing a fucking mob at someone all the time is not helpful.
Or you can do...
auto battler is this is like inventing a new disease and then giving you the cure. You know what I mean? That's what they're doing. They haven't fixed the problem.
Yeah.
They're just making a new problem and giving you a new cure. Well, this is the pharmaceutical industry all over again.
Well,
guys,
that's what I like respect heavily about the Persona series, is that like, you do have this like kind of idle time between significant story portions of the game. And this is like in almost all the Persona games, where like you have the option of you can go to the dungeons and grind for experience, or you can go and do these other things.
Yeah.
And I think just like having that choice, I think is like a nice balance of like, it doesn't force you to be like, all right, for the next 5 in-game days, you have to go to the dungeons and grind. Otherwise, you're not going to get to this next point. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Right. So I think just like more JRPGs are starting to kind of throw in other options that don't necessarily equate to you having to grind.
Yeah.
That was a terrible take, by the way, guys. We're not on the record. I don't agree.
We need at least one hot take.
I don't agree with that.
Because here's the thing, okay? Because I realized this during Trails of the Sky, or the Trails series in general.
How old is that game? The one that Trails in the Sky, or whatever, the one that you're playing.
I'm even playing through the new Trails series right now. Here's the thing. What I've realized is that most of the good feeling, the satisfaction I get from playing from JRPG systems isn't so much the battle itself, it's the preparation to that battle, right?
Yeah.
It's getting and I realized this because now that I've complained about the whole item system in Trails before, there was a moment in Sky Third where it just clicked, and then I just had such enjoyment seeing like, getting all these different combinations of orbs into this one character and building like the perfect team comp to do all these different things.
Yeah, that's part of the fun.
That's part of the fun. And then, you go through most of it, and then I only really got the satisfaction during the big boss battles. During the big challenging boss battles, everything else was just me kind of like going through a dungeon and me just like tapping A.
Yeah, I mean, that's a problem with that game, not a problem that they've solved with auto battles.
I can't think of a JRPG that hasn't felt like that this way. Persona kind of offset that to me, because it felt like Persona was kind of the way that Persona did it was the music was so good, and it felt like a weird experience. It almost felt like a rhythm game playing it with the music. You know what I mean?
I mean, especially Persona 5, the battle theme being one of the hardest bangers that Alice has ever made.
Well, a lot of the times you can by the skin of your teeth you can beat a mob, right? And you can get lucky. So I think the reason why a lot of these games had that back in the day, or why they still continue to do it to an extent, is that like, hey, if every single normal enemy you're coming across is kicking your ass, you got to go back.
Yeah.
You got to go train up, or you got to rethink your strategy here. So I think it was just an easy way of being like, hey, get to this level for this part.
Yeah.
But the solution is not auto battling. That is like... That's like the solution to heroin is swapping to cocaine.
It's not the solution, but it is a patch that I would, especially through some of the fucking old JRPGs.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. Some of playing Final Fantasy 8, I fucking wish I had an auto.
Yeah, but that's the problem with the older JRPGs, is that they weren't aware of those struggles at the time, because it was still a newer concept.
And also back then, gaming has also changed now, where people have so many games to choose from, and now the issue is not, am I getting a game that's worth my time? Money. It's, am I getting a game that is respecting my time?
Yeah.
So back then it was like, oh my god, fuck yeah, I can get 120 hours out of this game. It's like, now it's like, oh my god, they're going to waste 120 hours of my time for what could have been a 12-hour experience.
Yeah.
So I think it's not so much that like, oh, it's, hey, this is respecting my time. It's like, why are they not respecting my time and then giving me a solution where they clearly recognize they should respect my time, but they also clearly are like, no, come back. Please waste your time on us, because that's how we get our monies and we get engagement.
Get our monies.
You know? So I terrible take on. I'll take.
Nah, it would make me enjoy turn-based combat even more, because I fucking hate turn-based combat for this exact reason. So I mean, like, to me, I separate JRPGs into dungeons, which is just brain dead decisions where I'm like, I'm not really going through this dungeon to make any meaningful go on.
From my time playing Honkai,
I
felt like there was like no depth to the combat system.
What do you mean?
Like, I play Final Fantasy VII, right? This is a 26-year-old game.
Yeah.
There's the materia system.
Yeah.
What a banger. I can make anyone in my party the healer. I can make anyone in my party the tank.
Yeah.
I can make anyone do damage in any kind of way I want to. I can mix and match all of these systems.
Yeah.
But that's because they're not limited by having to tell you, hey, by the way, this guy's a 6-star. And his thing is fire. And he's really good at fire. So you should get him and use him.
Well,
and I feel like that is a limitation that has been spawned of gacha, is that you have taken away my ability to customize my characters and play the game the way I want to play it. You're like, this is this character. They heal good. This is this character. They do true damage.
Yeah, they've been pre-selected.
You have now made the combat so boring that auto battling is the only way I can experience this game. Like, the only way you have made this game interesting is by making the bosses harder, thus making me have to think, oh, I need this character. Not, oh, I need to think about how to customize my character better to combat the situation. I feel like it's almost ruined. Like,
well, it
ruined it.
It almost really, like, here's the thing about these kinds of games, which is like, yes, I agree, which is, if you have every fucking 5-star in the game, it's all it is going to be you're playing for the story, which is kind of what I'm doing right now.
But isn't that sad that you can just get these characters?
No, but like,
dunzo?
if you actually want to be a gamer, the best way to play is to play free to play. Genuinely, because...
But then I have to go through like hours of grinding and shit.
No, because with free to play, you have to learn to play with the material that you have.
You gotta strategize.
Right? You actually have to strategize.
That's fair.
And it's like it's almost like a totally different experience to someone who is a fucking whale who wants to grind for every artifact. When you go free to play, you actively have to play with what you are given. And that is always randomized. And no, it doesn't, like, yes, it feels good to get a 5-star and all that stuff, but this is like, there are, it makes it more similar to, let's say, like a roguelike where the material you're given is randomized and you have to play with what you have. So that's what, I talk about a game like this where, yes, it's easy to clown on, but you can approach the game anyway, the way you want to approach the game, and that is the beauty of it, where you can just be a fucking degen and just be pay to win.
But don't you feel like sometimes because of the way that they've incorporated gacha, which is, hey, get this character, they're strong, that it has limited what all the characters can do subsequently, because now this is the strong one. This is the weak one. You can't customize him in a way.
You play you talk to real gacha gamers and they don't roll based on they roll based on who the fucking sexiest wife is.
Like,
no, I know. But what I'm saying is like, hey,
I don't even like this banner character, but I have to get it.
I think it's fair to say that, hey, we've somehow made the combat worse, but we've made it flashier, and so we're like, oh, I think it's better.
I totally agree. Where the depth compared to fucking Trails or Final Fantasy,
crazy,
I totally fucking agree. This is the bare bones, the bare bones depth you can ask for. There is tiny, but to me, that's what makes it a great casual game.
It's just turn your brain off kind of game.
It took me like 80 hours to really fully like gel with the Trails battle system. I didn't fucking need that for Honkai, man. I don't fucking need that for Honkai. Sometimes I just don't want to think too much.
I've now secured you a year's worth of Honkai sponsorships by allowing you to defend it vigorously.
Right.
You're welcome, guys.
We just made Garnt a fortune.
This just proves that I have the worst.
Like, yes, Garnt, we've made the correct decision here. Yes,
this just proves I have the worst taste in games out of all of us. The fact that, yes, I know it's a shitty take. Yes, I know I'm a shitty gamer, but that's the kind of gamer I am, okay? I'm a lazy gamer. I'm a fucking lazy gamer. Just give me story, give me world building. That's all I really fucking care about.
And give me the bag.
Okay. All right, so